Welcome to the Flivver Channel live stream. Tonight we have the usual collection of YouTube hooligans. Randall from the YouTube channel Shed by the Tracks. Randall is an honorary member of Possum Lodge and brings his unique blend of grandpa humor to our show. Randall's incredible home-built speedster, the Prairie Flyer, is a wonder. He claims to have designed it all in CAD, that's cardboard and determination. Rob's enthusiasm for Ford Model Ts and Model As is outshone only by his generosity to others. Rob's family are Model T people going back generations, and he is a wizard at repair and maintenance. Vince from the YouTube channel Baggett Corner. Vince focuses on stationary hit-and-miss engines, and more recently, restoring a fantastic original Ford Model TT truck. There's nothing he can't fix. And I'm Steven. My channel, Flivver Channel, focuses on the quirky characteristics of antique cars. I explore the fun and challenge of owning and driving a Model T, and the history of early automobiles. Thanks for joining us tonight. Feel free to comment in the chat. Ask us anything. We monitor the chat and we'll try to respond to most questions. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live stream. Special live stream tonight with a special guest. We've got Todd Touchbury today from Sumter, South Carolina. Welcome, Todd.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, that's great. Rob can't join us tonight, but we've got Randall and Vince. And you know me, I'm Steven. And we're pretty excited to talk to Todd about his cross-country Model T adventure. But before we get into that, just a little background, and Todd, I'll ask you to expand upon this a little bit, but I just want to let everybody know that you're one of these guys that kind of makes me look bad, because I think you get more done in a day than I can get done in a week. You've just opened a new restaurant, you're building a speedster, you're hosting car shows, and you still have a couple other car-related projects, I think, on the go. You want to take a few minutes just to introduce yourself, tell us what you're up to these days, and then we'll transition into talking about that amazing cross-country journey.
Yeah, you pretty much covered it. If I can get it into Possum Holler with Randall there, I'll be the big deal then. First off, I want to say hey to everyone that's watching. I'm seeing the screen pop up here, employees and family and such. But a few years back, we'll start from whenever I got into Model Ts, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sold a 64 Ford Galaxy, and I always had on my bucket list to own a vehicle that was over 100 years old, and didn't really care what manufacturer. But as soon as I started looking, I realized Model Ts were much more budget friendly than just about anything that's out there.
Yeah.
So, and of course, more parts available and such. But my daughter has a condition called Hydrocephalus, and she had asked me to help her raise money for the Hydrocephalus Association. She's 23 now. We hosted a couple of car shows, and I said, I'm going to come up with something bigger, than that, and, really get some attention from the Hydrocephalus Association. And we got the first Model T. I started researching people, 100 years ago that were going across country, 120 years ago, when it was taking 66 days. And I started thinking, I was like, this is a really cool deal. This would be cool to do one day. And one thing led to another, and I started looking at maps, and I was calling, welcome centers and chamber of commerces and everybody else I could find across the country. Is this something that's possible to do? And this might be the right gimmick, to get attention. And so my wife and I did an announcement video, and I pulled it out of thin air. I was like, we're going to try to raise $10 per mile. And I think we'd only had the Model T for maybe 4 months at the time. Not really an experienced Model T owner by no means whatsoever. I had changed oil in it and cleaned the timer out, and that was about the extent of it. And we learned very quickly. And when I started doing it, I was like, we'll get a couple of states over, and we'll run out of parts. What we attempted to, we'll raise a few $1,000s, and we'll call it good. And next thing I know, I have the city of Sumter, and the state of South Carolina on my trailer.
Nice.
People reaching out to me, from Canada. California, all over. I think we sent decals out to 30 something states. We had people reach out from England, Australia. So it grew very quickly.
Now you were new to 100-year-old cars, but you've been a car guy, right?
Yeah, I started racing dirt track cars when I was in high school, and didn't have a clue what I was doing then either for a few years anyway. And I think I was 17 when I raced my first dirt track race, and just always liked old cars. Mm-hmm. But they're still old cars, but the technology of a 100-year-old car is much different than the technology of a 50-year-old. Right down to the grease fittings.
Yeah, you got that right. Yep. Yeah, Vince does a lot of work on old engines, even older than our Model Ts.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So you're raising money. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Stephen. Todd, is that your route behind you there on the wall?
Yeah, so we started out in South Carolina here, and I don't know if you can see the different pins along here.
It's Are those on your stops?
Oh, let me make it big here. Just a second.
Yeah, let's have a look there.
There we go.
The pins that are along here, South Carolina, Honey Island State Park in Beaufort, South Carolina, all the way. The gold pins were overnight, so the white ones just kind of marked the route all the way to Huntington Beach, California. Go straight in a minute.
Yeah. Now, I shouldn't say a lot. Some people do the cross country Model T tour, but you were doing it fast, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a contradiction in terms, but
I figured if we were going to do it, for one, we didn't have much time away, with other kids. Elizabeth is 23 now, still at a 10 and a 14-year-old, I guess, at the time, still at home. So we had to make arrangements for them, and of course with work and everything. And Elizabeth Montoya just signed on. So we had to make it quick, and we had to make it quick also for the people that are going with us. That they took time away from their jobs and families as well. And one of the guys that I ran across, and I can't think of his name, Frank something, in 1923, he drove a Model T with a Rajo, whatever it is, overhead valve conversion, Mercury Speedster, aluminum body, and he had literally a brand new Model T, not one some rookies put together 105 years later. And their goal was to do Los Angeles to New York in 7 days in 1923. But he didn't have any big trucks on the road. And like I said, he had everything in the world going for him as far as, reliability, brand new this, brand new that. I think he was 20 something years old, maybe early 30s. And it still took him 8 days and 6 hours. So I was like, let's try to do it in 14 days. Let's do this. Let's have a little downtime here and there. But planning the route, that was the hardest part. If you go from this one to this one, let's just say it's 250 miles, the route's not necessarily the hardest thing. But finding somewhere to stay the night in that area was what got hard. Do I need to go 50 or 75 more miles, or do I need to back up 10 miles somewhere to stay? Then let's pace that out over the whole country. How many days is it going to take? No, that's 14 days. Let's shorten it to 12. Or no, that's only 11 days. I can't do it that fast. But in retrospect, I think that was our leaving day there. We'll leave. That's Elizabeth on the ground there. That's my daughter, my wife Jennifer, the blonde hair, Jasmine on the outside. Charlie Fawcett was going to go with us. He sponsored us. Patrick went with us there, and next to me, and then Philip drove the chase vehicle. But Elizabeth there, she's had 19 brain surgeries that included heart, spine, and stomach. Hydrocephalus, real quick, it's a condition to where, like our cerebral spinal fluid is circulating in ours right now. But if you think about a radiator hose, it collapses, backs up pressure on the radiator, the engine, whatever. That's what her ventricles did, and did damage to her brain before she was born.
Oh, I see.
So she's better than 99.5% of the people that have her condition. So she's doing pretty good. So she's passionate about raising money for them. So
yeah. So you put together quite a team there to support you. What was the strategy and the plan? What kind of equipment did you take with you? How did you strategize this race across the country?
My first list of parts that we were going to need fit on up, and I had room left over on a 3x5 index card. And, as things grew, so did that list. That list grew into a folder of routes and I think it was 3 pages of things that we had to keep in the trailer with us to make sure we had. But we took every single part off my touring car that you could possibly take, down to the ignition switch. We had an extra radiator. We took the engine, transmission, and rear end out of the touring car. And I think we had 6 extra wheels and tires with us. That we had, like I said, we had just about every single thing. I think we had 4 either 5 carburetors. I think we had 36 spark plugs, 3 sets of wires. We did run an E-timer and we did 12-volt conversion, but we still took the 6-volt stuff with us just in case. I mean, come heck or high water, we were going to finish the trip no matter what.
That's amazing. Now, is this one of those situations where if you take it with you, you won't need it? So you took all that stuff and you didn't need any of it? Or is this one of those situations where I'm glad I took all those things because I needed every one of them?
Yeah, it was the first of it for the most part. We got to Texas and we started having a little bit of a skip here and there. Looking back, I think it may have been fuel, some bad fuel. We changed carburetors somewhere in East Texas that night there. And we ended up looking at the coils, but I had the E-timer in there, so those coils were shunted. And so we ended up, we thought the coils were just rattling a little bit, losing connection. So we stuck a piece of cardboard in there. We changed the carburetor, and it was good to go after that. And we didn't need any more parts for, other than regular maintenance stuff. We fouled out number 1 a bunch of times. We had to clean the E-timer out 2, 3, 4 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were going 235 to 335 miles per day. When we got to Arizona, we blew an intake gasket. And I was like, why did we get out here? We had aluminum intake on it from earlier teas. And I was like, why in the world did we blow an intake gasket? So we pulled over, we swapped out gaskets, got 10 miles down the road, blew another intake gasket. And I was like, this isn't good. So we found a pizza place, pulled over, let everything cool down, put another set of intake gaskets on, because I think I had 4 complete gasket sets with me. I think it was for everything, including the head gasket and all. And we dumped up some orange silicone. We went to the world's smallest car quest. I think it was about as wide as my computer screen. And limit of 3 people from the fire marshal, I think, or something like that. And we got some good pizza. We gooped up some silicone on it, maybe it'll seal it up good enough, and blew it out again 5 or 6 miles down the road. So we actually changed intakes and in a rest stop or something like that. And that was literally the only problem we had. We slowed down about 4 miles an hour. After that, we're putting the cast iron intake on, but other than that, virtually no problems. The same tires are still on it today, and that made the trip that were on it when we got it out the junkyard of Connecticut.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, we never had any problems with the tires. We figured by day 2 we would be blowing tires or wearing them out, but that's us checking into the campground in Huntington Beach or Hunting Island State Park in Beaufort.
So Todd, you're doing over 200 miles a day. So how long was your day normally then? How many hours?
It just depended. Every 3 nights or so, we stayed at an Airbnb so we could all stretch out. If we like this campground here, we had beds in the car trailer there, and we had a double bed, 2, 3 twin beds in there. So we stayed at a lot of campgrounds. The Airbnbs, we try to get a later start, so we got a little bit, more relaxation, privacy, better showers and such. Okay. The days would go anywhere from, I think my short day going into Louisiana, which ended up being a very long day because of the weather. We had some horrible tornado warnings and everything else. And that was the only nasty day, some of the cold days. But I think the longest day was about 9 hours. Maybe that day that we had to change the intake gasket so many times.
Okay. Oh. So you had to head. How far is it south? How far is it east from your place? From something.
To the starting point, probably an hour.
Oh, okay, not that far.
Yeah, my original intent was to start in Savannah because the historic Highway 80 used to go from Savannah to San Diego. I found this out in research. After 62 or 64, whatever it was decommissioned west of Dallas. So I was like, we can get on this and be just a straight trip. This is us walking out to the ocean that morning. And you get some ocean water and quick kiss or whatever and hit the road.
Yeah.
But forgot where I was going with that. The starting point was only probably, an hour and a half from here. But like I said, Savannah, we ended up getting on 80 the second day. And the reason I started in South Carolina, even though it added about 40 or 50 miles to the trip, was because of the city and the state getting behind us on there.
Did you try to take mostly like rural type routes, like paved rural routes, or you?
For the most part, we still had to get on some 4 lanes. I think the second day, and I'll show you about the coveralls here in a second that I had on there. I couldn't get out the sand there at the beach. The state flag on the back is actually a South Carolina state flag off the Capitol building.
Okay.
That was part of the sponsorship. We ended up breaking some flagpoles and actually broke out the side of the truck. But
that's fantastic that the state got behind you on that. That's really good.
Yeah, the coveralls I had on there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not.
Well,
we'll get to them. We'll get to them.
All right. That was our first problem on day one, probably 8 or 10 miles down the road. It just shut off. I mean, you just totally lost power, and it was just a battery cable.
Okay.
We had took it loose so many times, working on it and doing everything, and we just forgot to tighten it back up. That's Jay Corman there. I think he's on here tonight, and some other people from the Southern or Georgia Peach Teas met us, and a couple of Model Ts and their REO or Rio, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty cool day. Jay ended up running hot right here, and we ended up putting him on the trailer after I think the second or third time. But it was cool because it kind of paced us for the first day. We found out what kind of speed and stuff.
Yeah.
That's Jay there out front. He's down in Georgia.
Now, I've seen a number of videos of yours where there's a young fellow in the video. Is he your grandson, or is I'm not too sure. I don't know if he's your helper, if you're his helper. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, that's my stepson, Will.
That's stepson?
That's pretty amazing. So you got underway, and you're heading off. Long days. Now, you had a bit of a crew to help you with the mechanicking each night and keep you fueled and that kind of thing. Did you guys travel together all the time, or was the tee off on its own except for the end of day?
Yeah, so for the most part, my wife Jennifer would start the days off with me in the morning. We would go Facebook Live, and then after that, Patrick and Jasmine would switch out with me, and Philip drove the chase vehicle, the truck, and everything the entire time out there. And like I said, they just took turns with me, except when it got extremely cold or like going up and down Carlsbad Caverns. We went there, and that was extremely steep. So I did that part by myself.
It's nice here to see some shots from the chase vehicle. I like this.
This is going across the Mississippi River. I did that by myself so that I could go as fast as I could because I am sure. I think Patrick was Patrick was recording this. That's Jasmine up there that you can see for just a split second. And the wheels there, I think Dave Soller, I think he said he was going to be on here tonight too. He's out in San Diego. He built and donated those wood wheels for us.
Oh, nice. So you had a fresh set for your trip.
Yep, he did great work. You see some of the sponsors and stuff on there, Charlie Fawcett. All the ones that are on the right-hand side of the screen were people that did individual donations for the Coast to Coast for Hydrocephalus decals.
Right.
You can see how fast I'm going there. I mean, I'm just passing them whenever I get ready to.
Now, have you got an overdrive in that?
No. That was just they slowed down so I could get back around them.
It looked like you were flying, to be honest.
I'm adjusting the speed on that part too. So
yeah, that's a speed up in post. I like it.
Yeah, there's the tornado warnings that we were getting going in Louisiana there. It was so bad we took the top and tied it down. Patrick's riding with me there. And this part wasn't even bad here yet. This was when it started getting bad. And one of them did that from the chase vehicle there. It was so bad when we got to into town, going to our Airbnb that night, which was a 1920 Sears farmhouse. Water was coming up over the running boards when I looked down at it.
Oh boy,
it was bad. That was
I'm getting notice that my my pictures aren't being shared. So just give me a second here. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on.
1921 Sears farmhouse. Oh, so this was one of those Sears kits. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Todd?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it was. I think it was the girls that owned it. I think it was their grandparents. Is that what it was, Jennifer?
We'll get back to that in a second. I want to just see if I can respond to some of these comments that are saying they can't see what I'm sharing. So let me just going to reset that share. Hopefully.
It's odd. It was showing on my end. I'm not too sure. There we go.
Everybody can see that? Yep, there we go. Someone's saying they came on. All right. I'm flipping too fast. I'll try and stay on. This is neat. So you could order a house out of the catalog and they deliver all the parts, and then you either do all the framing and siding yourself or you hire local guys for it, I guess, eh?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. They still had some pieces. I think I can't remember exactly, but it was just a really cool place. It was a little farm there. They came over and breakfast the next morning. That was Patrick and Philip there. They're saying no picture again.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on. We see it just fine.
Yeah, we can see it. That's
If I'll go full screen on it. Maybe that's better. So I think the house I live in here is a kit house, but from around here, the kits used to come from Home Hardware. They're Beaver Lumber, actually, before Home Hardware. So they were catalog kit homes.
They're saying it's back now.
Okay, so it seems to only work when it's full screen. I'll try and keep it that way when we're trying to show things.
Yeah, the ladies brought us muffins, came over and cooked a bunch of eggs and whatever all else. And like I said, Big Farm is really cool. They were super gracious to us. That's a lady from the newspaper there came over and interviewed us, which happened in a lot of towns. I don't know, 5, 6 towns. This is leaving Louisiana, going toward Texas before we got to the Bonnie and Clyde Museum.
Mm-hmm. So what was your typical speed when you're cruising along these B roads?
46, 47.
That's pretty fast. Mine will not cruise that fast.
Yeah, we could hit 52.9. We had a 3-to-1 ratio rear end in it. And I think we had a 260 or 270 lift cam. So we had a little bit more power, but not a whole lot. But the top end.
Historic site. Okay. Well,
So that gas station is where they made the phone call that the hunt was over for Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, no kidding.
This is the museum here, which was kind of cool. That's a replica car. They haven't, not that one, but the other one's a replica car that was in one of the casinos or something for a while. Of course, all those are painted on holes there. It was pretty cool to stop at. We didn't go down to where the big event took place down the road there. It was a few miles out of the way. But that was the day we made it into Texas.
Amazing. So was it exhausting? I mean, these are long days.
The first few days, so I downloaded, I don't know how many hundreds of songs. I got on Facebook and asked people to tell me what songs I should download on different apps. And I was like, by the time we get to the Mississippi River, the news going to wear off of it. And I'm going to have to listen to music. We got all the way to the beach in California, and I never listened to one song.
You just listened to the music of that Tin Lizzy engine, huh?
Exactly. So whoever was riding with me, it was good conversation. And when they would switch, we would talk about the one that just got out of the vehicle or whatever, you know. I'm sitting over there. But
that's funny.
Jasmine and whoever else is watching too. But it was just the terrain was so much different. You know, you get in a modern vehicle and you're going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. You don't pay attention to that cactus that's on the side of the road in Texas, or that wild melon that Patrick had to get out and pick one up, or, you know, the longhorns, or the names of the ranches and stuff out there. And just watching the terrain change every few hours was totally entertaining. You know, plus, I mean, you know, wanting to hear every sound that the Model T made or anything. Being mindful about that. But yeah, we never listened to any music the entire trip. On the way back, it was different. So this was a cool museum. I hope everyone can see it in Weatherford that we stumbled upon. Unfortunately, it was closed that day. I think this may have been a Monday, I don't remember. But they were closed, and kind of peeking the windows here. It's a pretty good sized museum, as you can see. Just a couple of Model Ts and stuff in there. See, I have my goggles on still. I wore those goggles and some earplugs were definitely beneficial. Forgot to put them in a couple of days, in the mornings or whatever. And I'll say, hey, it was the first time we stopped, I've got to grab them. It just kind of deadened it a little bit, because it's a different pitch, obviously.
Definitely the earplugs. Todd, when I've got a Harley, and when I'm on my bike, I always put earplugs in. Just the wind buffeting in your ears just drives you crazy.
Well, the goggles helped out a lot because of the temperature. The further we got west, the colder it got. And when we got to Arizona, we actually took the tow board out to try to get heat off the engine.
Oh, yeah.
So it was very cold in Arizona and New Mexico.
What are you crossing here?
I'm trying to remember where this was. I think this was back.
It's like an awful big river.
Yeah, this would have been outside of Breckenridge, headed toward New Mexico. I don't remember the name of the body of water, but we actually stayed on it in Breckenridge, Texas. It was a large body of water.
It's getting very flat.
Yes. A guy in East Texas told us once we got to West Texas, he said a guy told him one time you could watch your dog run away for 3 days.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
We say the same thing up here, Todd, but we replace the dog for our wives.
Yeah.
Like, even as flat as these areas were, it was still a pretty cool experience. This was a restored gas station we stopped out in Texas, and I think this is the one with the deer. I can't remember. They're just randomly, there were all of a sudden you'd be in a small town like this, and no, this isn't the one with the deer. Just randomly you'd be in a small town and a restored gas station in a lot of them, which was pretty cool. One of them we got out. I don't know if it might be the next scene or I might have already passed it. We just turned in at the courthouse. Yeah, this is it here. I think just random deer downtown walking around.
Oh yeah. What time would you usually kind of end the day or try to end the day?
Well, we had everything. There's this pointing at the deer. I don't know if you would be able to see or not. Just
yeah, I can. I don't know if everybody's there's
walking around over there.
Vince, we had every single thing planned out for this trip, where we even most of the gas stops and everything else like that. But we ended up just taking gas jugs with us, and whenever the Model T would start, splitting further, that's when we would stop for fuel, rather than just stopping because there was a gas station. But all the campgrounds and Airbnbs were booked out months in advance.
Oh wow, no kidding.
This is back in West Texas for sure.
Did you have a favorite time of day just for traveling? I know when I travel, I like to travel kind of early morning and see the sun come up, but for other people it's different. So did you have a favorite time of day to be on the road?
There's how cold it got there. Whenever it wasn't cold, as far as that. But the morning time was cool. It was really cool. The afternoon, the only part of it is some places the afternoon sun. I was scared about the sun setting in the west and me heading west, and obviously no sun visor or anything else like that. So I had a set of clear goggles and I had a set of tinted goggles.
Oh right, yeah, right, makes sense.
That helped out, and you just have to switch them. Once it got kind of dark and you couldn't see through the tent. Mm-hmm. Out in Texas, we saw several oil derricks, oil wells, and stuff like that. That was kind of cool to see.
Was there any particular state that had better roads than the other ones?
Texas was pretty good. I don't know if this was the area right here, but still ain't listening to music. Side roads, I think it was on 180 from Breckenridge to New Mexico. The roads were wide enough on the side. If someone was coming up behind me, the crazy crew in the back would get on the walkie-talkie and say, there's someone behind us or whatever, and I would ease over, and I could probably run 10 miles down the side right there. It was so wide.
Oh yeah, wow.
It was very wide, very clear, but not a lot of potholes. It wasn't the smoothest roads, but not a lot of potholes in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
figured, up that traveled road, whatever, it would be kind of rough, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, we get all that freeze thaw stuff up here, so our roads don't seem to last very long, and we just get them full of potholes. So.
Yeah, they're a mess right now. This time of year, they're just
pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, random peppers too. We picked up too. Jasmine said we had a pepper riding in the back of us, the truck for.
Random peppers?
Yeah, just crazy stuff we see on the side of the road going at speed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot more when you're going slow. That's true.
Yeah, very interesting.
The fuel crew is. I'm just watching here. I should share this, I suppose. Where was I here? The guys were fueling up for you.
Yeah, that's Philip there and Patrick. And I think this was going into New Mexico. And I think I was figuring in my head we couldn't have been more than 20 or 30 miles away. And I asked Patrick, and he's like, yeah, it shouldn't be more than about 90 miles. And I was like, oh boy, that was the only day that I was like, man, I'm not going to make it as far as the time frame.
Those boys look pretty chilly.
Yeah, it was. The further west we got, the colder it got.
What was what kind of temperatures were you heading into there?
Do you remember like 20 something?
Oh, yeah, that's chilly. Yeah, below zero.
Sometimes they heat it up into the 50s.
Yeah, 20s in the morning, 50s in around lunchtime, 2 o'clock Fahrenheit. There was going into Mexico. Like I said, the first part of the trip was kind of pleasant. You could see, when we left the house here, that first one beside us with the trailer and all that, we all had on short sleeves, and I think Charlie had on shorts or something maybe. It was pretty pleasant here, but yeah, like I said, California wasn't that bad when we got out there. We had the top down and stuff like that. I think the absolute coldest time was in New Mexico when we turned south to go toward the Geronimo Surrender Site Monument, which was way out of the way. But I was like, we'll never come here again. We might as well go see it. I almost turned around that day. It was so cold and went straight west rather than going south. This was an interesting character here. And there's what we thought was his partner.
Looked like Father Guido Sarducci from SNL.
No, he was anything but a father. You can read between the lines on that one. Yeah, that was the one we made down to Dollar General to test plugs or something. I can't remember what it was, but that was this is in Carlsbad here, and this was going up the mountain to Carlsbad Caverns. Jennifer, that was on her bucket list of places to go, and this is when I made her get out so I could go the rest of the way by myself, just because it was so steep, and you can see how quick that road goes uphill.
Oh wow, yeah.
And of course, it goes downhill just as quick too.
Yeah. Were you able to keep it in high going up there?
Yeah. Some parts I went down to low. I can't remember. It seems like there was a few spurts or whatever. But I tried to get in the high as much as I could, just because we started holding up traffic in places. But
oh yeah,
determined not to put it in the trailer. If we went that far.
Yeah.
And we walked down, but took an elevator back up. And this is some more video from inside the chase vehicle. Me going down. I don't know what all it shows here.
No incidents with police, with state troopers, nothing like that.
No, we had Mississippi or Arkansas, somewhere still in the South. We walked up on a couple of police officers, and I was like, "Do you mind turning your blue lights on?" And he signed my coveralls or whatever, just for a social media post. No incidents. We got mostly thumbs up, a couple of other fingers here and there, and mostly thumbs up.
It's beautiful there. Just beautiful.
Did you actually get some kind of not so nice people on the route as well?
It wasn't bad. I mean, out of the thousands, we went back into Texas after leaving Carlsbad. I mean, the thousands of people that passed us, there was probably 3 or 4 that wasn't happy with us, which is not a bad ratio. Jasmine's cats, she kept picking up cats everywhere, especially in Texas, in the bed with her. You can see there in the camper there, or the trailer, how the bed's folded up and down.
That's some beautiful country. You can almost picture some westerns being filmed out there. Some John Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. That was where it was leaving Carlsbad. I looked around going toward the Geronimo Surrender Site Monument, and then Geronimo got in my head, and I'm like, yes, I can see Indians standing up on the mountain and then going to commercial break.
Yeah.
Did I have any auxiliary brakes? Yes, I did have the Rocky Mountain brakes on there. No disc or anything like that, but I did have the auxiliary brakes.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. Did you were you able to just use engine braking down the Carlsbad Hill, or did you have to?
So when the park ranger
check for
came,
the brakes?
was just talking with us, after we got out the caverns there, and I was like, how long has it been? Thinking he was going to say a decade or two. How long has it been since someone went off the side of the cliff? And he said yesterday. I just looked at him.
Oh dear!
I was like, modern vehicle, this is great. So I was like, go down by myself. So we tightened up the transmission brake and the auxiliary Rocky Mountain brakes as much as we possibly could. And for the first little bit, it was almost like driving a modern vehicle. They stopped so well, but I didn't want to burn them up or anything. So we pulled over 2 or 3 times going down. And like I said, it was very steep in some areas. And you just look, it's just like it just keeps on going downhill. We got down to the bottom of the hill and backed them back off and kept on going.
Nice.
Yeah, this was the Geronimo Site Monument here. Real pleasant by the time we got down there. Like I said, the first 2 hours heading down there, it was miserably cold.
Mm-hmm. Being up here in Canada, I think we all kind of naturally assume that the weather down there is always warm and always pleasant.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had the right clothes if we'd done this trip.
No.
We'd assume it's all shorts and t-shirts.
I had multiple layers on. You can see Philip even had a t-shirt on there. I had multiple layers on. We had a blanket. Whoever was riding with me could get up under the blanket. We had the tow board out here. Headed into Tombstone, like I said, because of going down to where the Geronimo Monument is just so far out of the way. We had to travel a little bit at night. And I think we ended up doing three nights or whatever. It was a little bit darker. Of course, daylight saving time changes. And there's the Wyatt Earp house from the shootout at the OK Corral. And this talked to deers a little while ago. These deers were walking up, and you just lick the back of your hand or eat out your hand or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had 3 different houses on this property. And I know y'all know what the shootout, the OK Corral is with Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. This was Wyatt Earp's actual house. This was Philip Patrick's house here, which was behind us. And Jasmine had a house off to the side. It used to be a carriage house that they made into a separate Airbnb there. So it's 3 on the property. This is Philip's video here.
Yeah.
Is that Wyatt Earp's toilet?
Yeah, he had. I don't know if this shows our house or not, but they had it done up really nice. They had some original artifacts and stuff in there, and I don't want to say a tourist trap, but just about a tourist trap for a city. I can see staying there 2 days, maybe. We stayed 1, but like I said, this was really neat to have 3 different houses on one property with 2 washers and 2 dryers outside the carriage house where Jasmine stayed at. So it made for a good afternoon, good night, and everything. And we walked into town and passed the OK Corral and went to Big Nose Kate's place. That was Patrick's whizzer he brought with us, 1940 something, I think. And we went to the store or anything like that.
Yeah.
That was it. Straight in front of us was Wyatt Earp's house. That was across the street from us. And of course, the roads are still dirt and everything.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Patrick got up about 6 o'clock that morning and went and took some pictures and stuff like that. So,
That's real neat.
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, it was. Now here, it was really cool also because here we met some of Patrick's friends. He's still active duty Air Force, and we met some of his friends here in Arizona. And they're right there. I think it was after this we met Jasmine's brother and some of Philip's friends, and they all met us for dinner one night, which was pretty cool. Like I said, we got to interact with people And the crazy crew got to see friends up there, so it was pretty cool. This is when the intake gasket started messing up on us, and we just thought it was carburetor and just kept fighting with it. Everything.
You were just at the Pima Air and Space Museum. I think that's the largest aircraft graveyard in North America, isn't it?
I think that's right. We didn't actually go through the museum. We just didn't have time, but we stopped and took some pictures, went inside the gift shop or whatever. And there's Jasmine's brother, and he set it up where we could park out front, and back there on Philip's side, on the right side, were friends of his that he was in the Air Force with. Yeah. And this was a campground here. This is where we changed the intake right there. That campground there, that was a dark night going into that campground. It was pitch black dark. I mean, it was a 10-mile road to get there, and it was just pitch black dark. And cars were just wanting to run 70 and 80 miles an hour in a 55. I eased over to the right as far as I could. But just in my mind, I was like, there's going to be a pothole or something like that here. And,
did you figure out how you're blowing all these intake gaskets?
The intake actually warped.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't know why. This was one of the attempted repairs here. And but it just warped. Like I said, it was aluminum, and we did that so we got better airflow. And like I said, after we went to the cast iron off the spare engine, we lost about 4 miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why Randall's car can do a better quarter mile than mine.
You can see what was out the window there. And we made it to the last state. That's the Border Patrol sign on my coveralls there. That was really pretty there. It was kind of downhill, but pretty. And I hope Miss Montoya is still on there. That's her family, and her son there. And the driver's side there has hydrocephalus, just like Elizabeth does. And we met so many families that were affected by it. They brought us about 20 pounds of sweets. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assumed you met a number of families who had been who had this affliction in the families.
Oh yeah, a lot of them. This was our Airbnb in California. We had 2 different Airbnbs. Breckenridge, Texas, switched on us the last day, and the one in California switched on us within a couple of hours of getting there. And the one in Breckenridge, okay, we'll just find another one. But Breckenridge is just a dot out in the middle of nowhere. Very limited choices. We ended up staying on the lake, which was a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot more expensive. That was things we didn't account for. And so Jennifer was on the phone for hours, going in there after they said they had plumbing issues. And then the house in California, they actually had some plumbing issues too. Tell them real quick what it was.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, they did have some plumbing issues.
Oh dear.
The first time it happened, it was Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was an issue in itself. So we did have to find somewhere pretty quickly. I was on the phone with support from Airbnb, and they helped us out a lot with that, trying to find somewhere because it was very limited. But then the second time, I contacted the owner directly, and they told me, well, hey, we have somewhere 20 miles away. And I said, well, 20 miles is like another hour for us. That's not going to work. But they ended up having a second property right down the road, and that's what we ended up going with. It worked out pretty good.
Awesome. Well, it's good. You don't want those surprises on the way, but some of them are inevitable, I guess.
No,
Months, That was a big monkey wrench. On the last day there, are we in California here, Steve?
Yeah, I think this is which one is this?
Yes. Okay, so Dave Soller that built the wheels, he's out front there in his TT truck, which would just fly past mine, even as fast as we were. I'm not sure if he didn't do an LS swap or something like that. We had to get on the radio and tell him to slow down a couple of times.
Say, man, there's still hope for me. I don't know, maybe not.
So he has the auxiliary transmission and a different 3-to-1 ratio and all that stuff in his. So he said it was a wore-out motor, but this is when it really started getting emotional here. Like, we've done all this planning, found all the support, and we're halfway across California at this point. And, as the little screen said a minute ago, this is my first visit to California ever. And to be driving it in a Model T was pretty cool. But I looked over and it's like, okay, there's no guardrails in places where there should be guardrails. You know? Yeah, just like, you know, some places there we were coming up on, it was crazy. But as we went along, like I said, the last day I didn't have the route actually planned out. Dave and Fred planned the route out. They're familiar with that area. And I was like, okay, these guys know this area, you know, let them plan the route. That's cool. And they did. And like I said, we went through rural country, I guess you would call this. You know, I wouldn't be rural in South Carolina, but anyway. And then we would pop up on another city. And we went to In-N-Out Burger for our first visit. Thankfully, she was hollered out, "Watch the road, please," on this video. And driving the tea at the same time. And that was my first visit to In-N-Out.
I remember my first visit to In-N-Out, and it was the same. It was down in Arizona. So yeah. So how did you like your In-N-Out burger?
It was pretty good. You know, something different. Some people say they love it. Some people say they hate it. Just like barbecue for me, you know, the next one's going to be the best. You know, it was Gene Carruthers that passed us in his tea, a Brassera car. That's Elizabeth that I was talking about there. This was for her. Before we got there, I got really emotional. We were on Facebook Live, and I had to hand Jennifer the phone. And if you saw in the first part of the video earlier, I dumped ocean water on the right rear, and this is after we got ocean water from the Pacific Ocean on the left front, because I really wanted to dip the wheels in there. We just couldn't make it possible. And so that was definitely ocean. Of course, we saved some sand and everything.
Yeah.
Which was great.
That's great.
That's an incredible trip.
Then we kind of cruised around a little bit, and that was pretty cool. Now, also, Patrick behind us on his Whizzer.
Still going.
It was great to have that because, like I said, he could run to a parts store or something like that if we ran out of contact cleaner, whatever the case may be, or for whatever. And we had got online in Breckenridge. There was everything packed up, and said if we met a certain amount on the online giving part that was on Facebook and everything, we would take it down to Vegas Strip on the way home if nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we were really close, but not quite there when we got to California to the coast, and we got in the truck and all loaded up. First time riding since we were in Dallas. I hadn't ridden into anything. And Patrick said, "Hot dog, we're going to Vegas." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We made the goal plus some." we dropped the girls off. They stayed at a motel. Like I said, all that was already booked out. And they went to Disney the next day. Then they flew back. And we headed to Vegas and stayed at the Carroll Shelby American, whatever it is, where they build the Shelby Mustangs at, more or less. We stayed in their parking lot with no electricity, freezing cold, and we'd unloaded the tea. And I just assumed, you know, Patrick was like, "Yeah, it'll be fine." I just assumed they have car trailers dropping cars off all the time, so we would fit right in. They get to work at like 5:30 in the morning, so we hardly had much sleep. I slept. They said I slept hard whenever I got in there and dropped the girls off and headed to Vegas. And so we kind of timed it on purpose, but it was really just by chance that we went down to Vegas Strip at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So we still did it. It would have been cool to have, you know, thousands of people on every street corner, but at the same time, it would have been kind of dangerous too, that much traffic.
Yeah.
And also, Beth Kalish, which is from Sumter, she met us there and had a bouquet full of flowers for my wife when we got to the ocean there, which I thought was pretty cool. I turned the corner and I was like, "Well, she looks familiar," and she's got a big bouquet of flowers. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing trip, and you raised a lot of money for a great cause as well. And I'll make sure I'll put in the show notes a link to your YouTube channel so people can watch all these videos if they want to, and the links, and from there they'll be able to get all the links to the Hydrocephalus Society donation page and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
Fantastic.
You did it. You really enjoyed it. Do you think you might do something like this again?
My wife is giving me a look right now. But she can't see us right now. That's my goal. We did it in 12 days. And like I said, I really want to be the fastest person to ever do it in a T, which would be 8 days and 6 hours. Yeah. So I'm the fastest person to do it in a T since 1923. And is it practical really to do it in 7 days like I want to do it? Probably not. You've really got to be moving. So we gathered up a Casey Wofford overdrive after actively looking for it for over a year. We got one last week, and we'll actually have another one tomorrow. Mark Atkins up in Indiana, he's part of the Model T Museum. He has our engine that we use for that trip, and we're going to see if we can put bigger valves, maybe a bigger camshaft and stuff. And it already has a scat crank, and I'd like to get in deep into the 60s, mile an hour range. And at that, I will still have to do roughly 330 miles a day, where my long day was 335 miles this past trip.
Yeah.
We could do the same route and probably do it in 6 days, honestly. But I'd really like to replicate what Frank was trying to do in 1923, except that's the engine there. And I'd like to do New York to Los Angeles and do it in that 7 days that he tried to do it in.
Yeah.
I just think that would be cool to accomplish his goal, 100 and something years later.
And of course, you have to do it with period correct equipment, right? You can't just decide to use modern stuff. So.
No, there's no point doing that.
Yeah.
Well, that would be my goal, to do it. That was when we caught on fire in the Christmas parade the year before, which was an total embarrassment. This is when we were still new to Model Ts, but we had just announced that we were going to do this trip, and then we caught on fire in the parade. It came full circle. We were the Grand Marshals the following year after we got back from the trip, so that was pretty cool. That's us on fire there. That's Elizabeth in the back there. That's her doing an interview for, I think, WLTX 19 channel, local channel here. And, but yeah, I'd love to do it again. That was when I spoke in Vegas. That was Ron's car. That was a sticker we threw on one at the bars out there in Vegas. I'd love to do it again, like I said, and if I can get into the 60s and it become, we had so many injuries. Had 6 injuries, including a fractured finger. Charlie Fawcett got some stitches. Patrick got a face full of cut his lip and nose and everything one time.
Jeez.
Nothing to send us to the hospital other than Charlie's. Well, that's a lie. I had to go for my finger. And Charlie for the stitches. This is all leading up to the trip.
Austin asks, what advice would you give to anybody who would like to someday do this sort of trip for themselves?
You got to plan for months and months and months, if not years. If you reach out to me, I'd be glad to talk to you at any point in time. Steve, you can find me on Facebook too, Todd Tewksbury. Yes, he's through there or whatever. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with me. But plan, and do like I did, and just talk to every single person that owns a car, like what you plan on using, whether it's a Model T or a Model A or a brand new vehicle, and just talk to as many people as you can. And I can promise you it's going to cost you more than what you expect.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's going to cost more.
If you try to do it in 7 days, would you again try to pair the trip up with a good cause or with the same cause again, or how?
Same cause for sure. That's just it's near and dear to my heart because it's near and dear to my daughter's heart.
Right.
Jasmine's hollering out about snacks. She provided the snacks the whole way except the pancakes. She didn't get us pancakes. She was supposed to. But yeah, we would do it for the same cause. That would be the goal. And again, it's not like you're getting through Guinness Book of World Records or anything like that. My understanding is they won't accept it if it's a fundraiser too. I don't know if that's true or not. But we garnered a lot of attention, and I'd love to do it again one day. But the timing would have to be right also.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
After all this success and all the money that you raised, how many guys left comments on your videos that you did it all wrong?
That's what YouTube's all about.
There were a few. I used an E-timer in 12 volt, but my thinking was, if we get a bad battery out in the middle of West Texas, we can find a fresh 12 volt.
Yeah.
Run brighter headlights. We can hook up some LEDs, which Patrick and Philip did in Louisiana, just because we didn't, we were getting into some dark nights or whatever, so it made it a little bit more visible, even though for the most part, they were behind me 85% of the time, unless they were going to get fuel or they stopped at a Starbucks one time without us.
Send you on your own.
It worked out good, but like I said, it did make it a little bit safer.
Yeah,
They
it's cool.
have some creature comforts, they said.
What an impressive deal
Yeah, it really is.
all the way around.
And so fast. That night driving would have scared me. Holy cow.
Yeah, like I said, in that one in New Mexico, I think it was. That was probably the only time I was really scared. Going into that one campground that I mentioned. It was just black. There was nothing. No reflection of anything. And that was probably the only time I was halfway scared as far as a hole being there. I knew I'd see headlights, but I was scared not familiar with that road. And even with the 12-volt headlights, you couldn't see 10 or 15 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
It's not great, but I was just scared of a pothole or a bump or whatever.
Now, when you try to do it faster next time, you're going to take the same route?
Like I said, I don't know if I want to do, if it comes to fruition, I don't know if I'd want to do New York to Los Angeles like Frank attempted to do, except he did Los Angeles to New York, but the time zones come into play, so that was you get an extra 3 hours, even though it's not that much time. If we did the same route, it would kind of be boring. Like, I would expect myself to be able to do it in 6 days if we did the same route.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much to set you behind. An hour stop for a breakdown, and you got to make that time up to get it back, right? So it's.
And I definitely don't want to do it twice. 2 more times. If we did it as a fundraiser, just like this time, if we attempted to do it, we just ran out of parts or whatever the case may be. We got COVID or something, whatever, the case may be. If one of us got sick or something, that would have really thrown a wrench into it. And if we do it again, 6 months or a year later, if we have a problem with the engine or whatever, I'm not going to take as much stuff with us the next time if we do it again. I would take an extra intake, exhaust fan, stuff like that. But I would probably take a whole engine. I would take an extra rear end.
Wrong.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong? It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
The part about that was putting it back together in a touring car when we got back.
Yeah.
We still had to put an engine and our car back together, even all the way down to the ignition switch.
Yeah.
How'd you do for gas mileage, out of curiosity?
It changed different places, whether I was running wide open in West Texas or if I was stopping and go in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
It changed a little bit. Probably anywhere from 14 to 20.
Okay, just in there somewhere.
Yeah, just depended.
Yep.
How much gas did you carry with you in the sport vehicle?
So to start with, I changed out the gas tank to a modern, like little hot rod 10-gallon tank too, just because I didn't want to spend the money on a true Model T tank, after I'd already sunk all this other money and everything. So I found one of the hot rod 10-gallon tanks for like $110 or something like that on Amazon. Switched it out. No one's going to see it anyway. So we had that, and we started out with 3 jugs, and we ended up with 4 or 5-gallon jugs because we tried to run non-ethanol as much as we possibly could.
Good idea.
Yep.
And I say that coming from where ethanol comes from.
Yeah, you're in the land of where they grow this stuff.
What garbage.
We don't even have that option anymore unless you buy, go to the airport and buy fuel. You can't buy fuel without ethanol in it here. So
Yep.
what a lot of us do, what I do is whenever we head across the border, fill up 4 or 5 cans of non-ethanol fuel and bring it back.
Yeah. My father-in-law actually met us on the first day in wherever the fruitcake capital is. I love fruitcake. Now there's 2 fruitcake places in the world, and both of them are in the same town. Anyway, Claxton, Georgia. He met us there, and he got on an app or whatever and found an app to basically go all the way across the country where you could find non-ethanol gas at.
Mm-hmm.
You were your before staying dark. That was the plan.
Doesn't always.
Yeah. Of course, a little bit of sightseeing, slowed us down a couple of days, stopping at the Bonnie and Clyde Museum. We stayed there a little bit longer than what we expected. Yeah. But that kind of made the trip. Made a little bit of a vacation out of a important time.
Mm-hmm.
So you went from that straight into the restaurant business. Is that how that worked out for you?
Just about. We actually took and drove the tea around a little bit in Western North Carolina and all around here, and then we put it at the Miles 2 Time Museum down in Georgia, not too far from Helen, Georgia, and left it there for about 6 months and got it back. And as fate would have it, broke the drive shaft pin, the U-joint pin. And I was driving up, I went 30 feet, 30 yards, whatever, and it went like this. And I was like, what in the world was that? I figured someone was messing with me and put some zip ties on the wheels or something. And broke that pin, pulled it out, replaced it, but I broke something in the transmission. So like I said, that's why Mark has the engine back up there. I was extremely happy with that, engine and everything too. It did everything I wanted it to do and more.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Austin, the Mark's going to tear that engine apart, and I'm sure I'll post that on my Highway Palace channel whenever he does that. We're just waiting on. We were waiting on the overdrive transmission before we went any further with what plans we wanted to do. I didn't want to have to break down and find a Regio or Rajo overhead valve conversion if I could get the transmission.
Yeah. Well, Todd, I think our time is about up, but boy, I want to really thank you for
let me show one
talking
thing.
us through. Yeah, sure.
This was the overalls that I wore.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, everyone that we came in contact with signed them, top to bottom, and they got quite stained up. If you look at the first videos, they were.
It looked pretty clean.
Yeah.
So they.
That's authentic.
Yeah. So I thought that would be a cool keepsake to have.
That is.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. So as I was saying, it was great to have you explain and talk us through the trip. Really interesting. But I think we're gonna have to have you back in a few months because we've still got lots of things we want to talk to you about.
You're an impressive guy. My self-esteem is at an all-time low right now.
Randall, I may get you to build me one of those exhausts that you built for your Speedster.
Send you what?
I may get you to build me an exhaust system like you had on your Speedster, and I'll do it on mine. We'll do some cross.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Thanks a
Right
lot.
on. We'll have you back in a few months, Todd. Thank you.
Great.
And have a good night. Thanks everyone for joining us online, all the comments and questions. And make sure you tune in again next month at the beginning of the month, and we'll have another Flivver Channel Live. So everyone, thank you and good night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks, Todd.
Thank y'all.
Thanks to my guests tonight, Randall, Rob, and Vince. Couldn't do it without you guys. Randall, thanks for the music that you made for the show. And thanks to the viewers who tuned in to listen to us old car guys rambling on about old car stuff. We really appreciate it. Good night.